everyone. Hope you're having fun so far. The Rage for Justice Awards, for the few of you who haven't been here before, are named after Phillip Burton, one of the most progressive and prolific congressmen in the history of America. His biography described his, quote, rage for justice as someone who represented the dispossessed, the disenfranchised, and the downtrodden, and used his power for the farm workers, for immigrants, for people who needed his passion and his voice. We give the Phillip Burton Public Service Award to people who mirror Burton's spirit, champions for the people who strive to give a voice to the voiceless and shine a spotlight on injustice. We have been waiting years to give Tom the award, and we're so grateful that he's here to accept it tonight. I'm also thrilled to have my friend Dr. Paul Song and Lisa Ling with us tonight to present that award to Tom. Paul is a physician, a healthcare activist, a biotech executive who is an advocate for patients against corporate profit-driven healthcare. Paul has been a leading voice for single-payer healthcare for decades. He joined Consumer Watchdog on the campaign trail in support of regulating health insurance rates, and he was one of the first doctors to take a courageous stand against California's malpractice cap and publicly call for reform. That is one of the hardest positions that a doctor politically could ever take. Paul is a fellow warrior against the profit-driven insurance industry that has devastated patient care in this country, and I want to thank him for standing up for all of the families in this room tonight. Lisa has reported all over the world, from Afghani war zones to ignored corners of America. And she tells us stories that you won't hear anywhere else. If you've ever seen an episode of her show, This Is Life, that's currently in its 9th season on CNN, you know that her journalism does what good advocates do, peels back the layers of a controversy or a crisis to tell the human stories that define a problem. As advocates, we recognize that spotlight on personal stories as the only way to ultimately change minds or to shift culture. At its root, Lisa's journalism amplifies the voices of the people you would otherwise never meet, just like the person she's here to introduce tonight. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Lisa Ling and Dr. Paul Song.
Thank you so much, Carmen. How's everyone doing tonight? So great to see everyone. Paul and I are so honored and humbled and emotional to be here tonight to pay tribute to all of tonight's honorees, and especially someone who embodies the idea of raging for justice, the great Tom Morello.
But we first want to thank Harvey, Jamie, Carmen, Jerry, and the dedicated Consumer Watchdog team for your continued work and advocacy to make our country safe and safer for all. As a former oncologist who believes our healthcare system is deeply broken and immoral, I think our country's healthcare failures can best be epitomized by the fact that despite being the wealthiest nation on earth, our U.S. maternal mortality rate is now 3 times as high as the next industrialized nation. And this is dramatically higher among women, particularly women of color and black women. Yet as we continue to see an unprecedented assault on women's reproductive rights, especially in those states that refuse to expand Medicaid, unfortunately our maternal mortality rate will only continue to climb. So this is a big, big issue. I want to take this moment to personally acknowledge Charles for your tremendous loss and pain, but using that to bring about much needed change. Your strength inspires me as a father and as a husband. Thank you so much.
So tonight is very personal to us because Paul and I have a close friend who also sustained significant harm during her first and only pregnancy at Cedars, by the way. She and her daughter survived, but she was left unable to bear any more kids. And despite evidence of clear malpractice, not one lawyer in Los Angeles would take her case. And so while it's too late for our friend to get justice, thanks to the leadership, activism, and work of Nick and Courtney Rowley, this is no longer the case in California. So we just want to thank you both.
Now, before we say something about Tom, we want to acknowledge two amazing women in his life. His mom, Mary Morello, who's seated in front.
Mary!
If you know anything about Mrs. Morello, you know that Tom got his badass genes from this woman right here. And we've been very fortunate to get to know her through the years, and she's just an amazing woman. Secondly, we want to acknowledge Denise, who, again, is a badass in her own right. But at the same time, we just want to thank you in much the same way for sharing Tom and allowing him to spread his music and his activism throughout the world. And we want to thank you both.
So Tom, you once said there are certain artists whose calling is to use their art to hope and affect and better the human condition. But the fact is that there are still far too few of them like you who will drop everything to bring their guitar to a picket line or Occupy movement. But through your piercing riffs and prophetic lyrics on injustice, must-read op-eds, countless appearances on picket lines, and your continued generosity to support local solutions wherever you tour, you have just been such a much-needed, unwavering conscience and force in our country and in our world. And while we share many deep values, one that we have in common above all is we both agree that Prince was the best pop guitarist ever. Right?
Also, as Lisa and I have been deeply concerned with our country's increasing mental health crisis, we really appreciate the work you've done to raise awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. So thank you on that as well. On a lighter note, as a kid who grew up in New Jersey worshiping Bruce Springsteen, I truly believe your brilliant collaboration on Ghost of Tom Joad spawned a whole new generation of Boss fans. And as a fellow former long-suffering Cubs fan, it was great to see your pure joy and relief when they finally kicked the Billy Goat curse. But above all, you were someone who has always walked the talk and someone who inspires and sets a high bar for each and every one of us here tonight. And with that, let's play the video.
Will you all stand and raise your fist as we present the great Tom Morello with the Phillip Burton Public Service